were prohibited from visiting and praying at the Temple Mount and Western Wall. Their synagogues were destroyed, and their cemeteries, such as the Mount of Olives, were desecrated. Access for Christians to their holy sites were also severely restricted. Leading up to June of 1967, Arab leaders repeatedly and openly expressed their desire to wipe Israel off the map. Syria was engaging in attacks on Israel from the Golan Heights and soon started to mobilize its forces for battle. Egypt began moving troops into the Sinai Peninsula in a massive military buildup, demanded and achieved the withdrawal of the UN emergency force that had been stationed in the Sinai, and then closed the states of Tehran, imposing an illegal blockade on Israel and cutting off a vital shipping lane for the Jewish state. Jordan then signed a mutual defense agreement with Egypt. Outnumbered and outgunned and against all odds, in the face of external pressure not to act first to ensure its survival, the Jewish state launched a successful preemptive strike against its hostile neighbors and prevailed in a defensive war. When it was over, Jerusalem was liberated, reuniting the city and Judaism's holiest site with the Jewish people, and putting an end to almost 2 decades of exclusion from the old city. Mr. President, since coming under its sovereignty, Israel, the one true democracy in the Middle East that shares our values, and ensured their access to holy sites so that they might worship freely. They have protected the rights of Jews, of Christians, and of Muslims. This has occurred even while religious minorities were being targeted and persecuted and attacked throughout the Middle East. And religious and historical sites are being demolished today by radical Islamic terrorists. Today is a day where we must also reassert historical truth. The historic connection between the Jewish people and Jerusalem and the land of Israel did not begin in 1967. These profound ties to Jerusalem have existed for thousands of years. They can be traced back and have been reaffirmed through numerous archaeological excavations, such as those in the city of David. In the past several years, I've traveled to Israel 3 times. There is something that stirs inside each time I'm there. It is remarkable to observe the great successes and achievements of this small and yet mighty country that is one of America's strongest allies in the world. It is long past time that America do something that it should have done 2 decades ago. Move the American embassy to Jerusalem and formally recognize Jerusalem as Israel's eternal and undivided capital. Every nation on earth, our embassy is in its capital city, except for Israel. There is no reason Israel should be treated any worse when they are such a reliable and unshakable ally. We should honor the promise that Democratic presidents and Republican presidents have made for decades and move our embassy to Jerusalem. So I stand today to express my solidarity with Israel and with the Jewish people during this major celebration. Now, more than ever, America stands strong with our unshakable friend and ally, the nation of Israel.
My only purpose today is that this event is shut down. You have turned Palestine into a land of prostitutes, rapists, and child molesters. How many women have you raped? How many children have you raped? You are a child molester.
You know, when you accuse someone, usually you give him a right to defend himself. It's democracy. You let the defendant defend himself. What do you want? You want to kill me?
No, I don't want to kill you.
Are you willing to speak to me?
No, I just want you to shut up and get out.
And that's your freedom and free world.
Yeah.
All right, great. So your free world is to kick me out of here.
No, it's just to kick you out of this room
about
this
kicking out-
night.
And if I send you to another room, will you kick me out of this room?
Yes.
Okay,
And I
thank you
will
very
keep
much
going
for showing me
until
your
you get
liberal
out every
values.
single.
I appreciate you for exposing your true liberal values, and now I'm going to continue with my presentation.
هاي الولد الصغير طخوه ما انتوا ظاهرين على الولاد الصغار طخ طخ هيو طخ روح 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 طخوه طخوه هيو هيو روح امشي قتلوه طخوه ما انتوا ضارين على الشغلات هذه ضارين على الولاد الصغار طخوه تقتلوهم هيو طخه جيب لك الثانيين
אין שום קשר לביטחון.
غلط يمقى
אתם לא מגינים על אף אחד.
بس استنى كليب هالدنيا بنشوف شو بتسوي استنى كليب
אתם לא שומרים על אף
طخوه
אחד.
قتلوه
הדבר היחיד שאתם
ارفع العلم ولك ارفع اتخبش ايوه حجر اضرب الحجر اضرب
תסתכלו מאחוריכם.
اضرب
בנקודה גבוהה.
اضرب
את הגגות האדומים האלה מאחוריכם. התפקיד שלכם. יש למפקדים של המפקדים שלכם. שולחים אתכם לכאן. לכוון נשק על ילדים, על אנשים בגיל של ההורים שלכם. החקלאים שנמצאים בתוך...
أنا أعتقد بأنه لا يمكن أن تتجاهل حركة حماس.
نعم تفضل.
كل واحد عاقل إذا هو في أوروبا إذا هو في الولايات المتحدة إسرائيل وبعض من الفلسطينيين في مناطق يهودا وسمراء عارفين أن لا توجد أي فائدة للتفاوض مع عصابة لا تعترف بدولة إسرائيل، عصابة التي بانت بنية إرهابية بعد انسحبنا من غزة، عصابة التي اليوم تستعمل تبرعات أوروبية فيها ألمانية لقتل يهود مواطنين غير مسلحين. غير أنا مصر الدنيا تسمي حركة حماس كعصابة إرهابية. الأخت الصغيرة للإخوان المسلمين هي تقوم بحصار ضد الفلسطينيين، كما انت عارف هناك حصار مصري فلسطيني في الحدود. وكما قال الرئيس إسرائيلي نتنياهو قال من زمن غير من اليوم، كل أمر إنساني، حاجات يومية أساسية مركزية، لقمة عيش يريد الشعب الفلسطيني أو ما مسمى الشعب الفلسطيني، كهرباء، حديد، أي شيء كما قلت لا توجد أي مشكلة، بشرط واحد: إرهاب على حسابنا لا.
Recognizing a clear link between prolonged occupation and gender-based violence, excessive use of force by Israeli defense forces, the gendered impact of the occupation, and called for ending the prolonged occupation and the blockade of the Gaza Strip.
The colonial Israeli military occupation remains the major obstacle for Palestinian women. Only an end to the occupation will bring true and lasting empowerment to the Palestinian people, including women and girls. Thank you.
I thank you.
To put an end to the suffering of Palestinian women and allowing her to enjoy all her rights. Thank you.
I thank you.
We support the rights of Palestinian women, and it is essential to put an end to the violence that they are subject to under occupation.
Thank you very much.
Next is UN Watch. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Today's report on Israel and the Palestinian territories provides important information on women targeted by violence. Regrettably, however, the report is undermined by its subservience to one recurring and unproven assumption. As highlighted by the rapporteur, that is the, quote, clear linkage between the prolonged occupation and violence against women. Ms. Simonovich, in other words, what you are saying is as follows: when Palestinian men beat their wives, it's Israel's fault. In this regard, I wish to pose some questions. First, how do you know there is a, quote, clear linkage? Where is the data? I don't see it anywhere in the report, not in Addendum 1 or 2. Is it right to continue infantilizing Palestinians such that when a man in Ramallah beats his wife, we encourage him to say, quote, Israel made me do it? Your report speaks of Israeli actions that create pressure. Well, maybe. Yet there may be a myriad of other influences. How do you know which is significant? It would be interesting, for example, to examine comparable populations in Lebanon, Jordan, Sinai, and Egypt, and to see if there are differences in the rate of violence against women. Ms. Simonovich, why have you not done so? Where is the data? Second, you make a passing reference to the influence of tradition and culture. Do you mean Palestinian, Arab, or Muslim tradition? You don't say which, and don't seem to be interested in this key factor in the Middle East. Why did you fail to mention that official Palestinian TV regularly broadcasts Islamic preachers who tell the people how to beat their wives? On February 8, 2016, for example, Hassan al-Laham, the Mufti of Gaza, quoting the Quran and the Hadith, advised husbands on how to hit wives, recommending, quote, hitting that does not make her ugly. In other words, not hitting that will bring the police. The hitting will be like a joke. The hitting is a kind of reminder that the love and friendship that Allah commanded is still found between the couple. Ms. Simonovich, while you find numerous indirect ways to blame Israel, how could you omit these direct forms of Palestinian incitement for men to beat their wives? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I would like to say thank you, but I can't, because I think that you need to respect this council more in the next statement.
Question from NGO with respect to situation when Palestinian man is beating his wife, and is it then responsibility of Israel? Here I would like to respond that in each and every country, any man who is beating his wife is responsible. He is perpetrator of violence. But when we are speaking about human rights responsibility and due diligence responsibility, then we are at a different level, because states have due diligence responsibility to prevent violence against women and to establish measures to prevent such violence, to punish perpetrators of violence and to provide compensation to victims. Of course, each case should be analyzed as a specific case, and then we have to determine who is responsible for what. But it is not possible to have such type of generalization as was done by that NGO representative. Thank you.
If we were both equal, this discussion would also be in Arabic, but we're not equal, and it is not in Arabic. It is in Hebrew.
למה את לא יודעת לדבר עברית?
Because I chose to speak English instead.
לא נולדת פה, לא גדלת פה?
גדלת פה, אבל אני גדלתי במגזר הערבי, אני מדברת ערבית.
המגזר הערבי הוא לא חלק ממדינת ישראל?
הוא חלק ממדינת ישראל, אבל אנחנו לא משתמשים בעברית.
בעיניי, באמת. את מדברת. במדינת ישראל, דברי עברית.
Look, these women here, go to Gaza. You want to go talk in Gaza? These women, they can't talk in Gaza. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's become fashion. It's fashion. It's fashion, this bullshit. It's fashionable. Yes. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, does it? How many bombs? France, in fucking Syria, here, London. All it is an excuse to hate Jews. It's us. Problem's us, innit? It's us. You think tomorrow, if there was no Israel, this problem would be solved? They fucking kill each other. What, genocide? We're the worst at committing genocide. The fucking population has tripled in the last 10 fucking years. Genocide. These people they're fucking idiots. They're idiots blind by hate.
I have also imposed new sanctions on entities and individuals who support Iran's ballistic missile program and reaffirmed our unbreakable alliance with the State of Israel.
Hey everyone, I'm now on the Red mountain in Amman and going down to the downtown. I'm in the heart of the capital city of Jordan. I'm in Amman. I'm a Jordanian civilian and I'm really supportive for the peace between Jordan and Israel. We get through too much of wars before in the past, and I believe that wars only cause of blood, and no one is winner in the wars. So I'm really supportive for the peace, and salute to you from here, from Jordan. I think that the relation between Jordan and Israel should be improved more, and we should love each other. It's way easier than hating each other and pointing guns at each other. This is my message. I'm a Jordanian civilian, university student, 18 years old. الجيش الإسرائيلي بيستاهل. عمي إسرائيل حي.
My Lords, the wording of the Balfour Declaration referred to the preservation of certain rights for non-Jews in Palestine and Jews in other countries. The Arabs who stayed in Israel are now 20% of the population, are 17 members of the Knesset, judges, university professors and army officers with equal rights. But 800,000 Jews were driven from Middle Eastern states in the aftermath of the creation of Israel, most of whom were resettled in Israel, unlike the deliberate abandonment of the Palestinian refugees, rejected by the countries in which they are resident and kept as supplicants and pawns by UNRWA and by other Arab nations. Before the establishment of Israel, there were hundreds of thousands of Jews in Morocco, in Algeria, in Egypt, in Iraq and in Libya. Where are they now? All gone, bar a handful, cleansed and expelled in defiance of the Balfour Declaration. So what do we regret and what do we celebrate? We regret that Israel was not established 10 years earlier, which would have largely prevented the Holocaust. We regret the 1939 White Paper, which all but halted Jewish immigration to Palestine when most needed. We regret that anti-Semitism continues to thrive, often in the guise of anti-Zionism, an extraordinary phenomenon when one considers that there is to the 5-minute cell phone charger, from radiation-free X-rays to desalination of seawater, from genetic counselling for the Bedouin and to the epilator. Its diversity and freedom of speech. It's liberated Jews and given them pride, and shown what a persecuted people can do when given control over their own destiny in a tiny state.